It's Friday. It is just gone 4 o'clock. It's Friday afternoon. My camera's a little low. Let's fix that. It is a wonderful time to come together because, of course, it's time for two Revs. Hello, Reverend Tony. How are you?
I'm very well, dear. How are you?
Oh, loving the day, living the dream, tripping the light. Fantastic. Good to be back after our week off.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was just one of those weeks last week.
Is it? Yeah, wasn't it
Yeah,
just?
it
Wasn't
was.
it
It was.
just? Absolutely,
Oh,
absolutely.
and good to see people starting to
Yes,
appear and comment.
absolutely. I know there's more people watching than commenting. The reason I know this, of course, is because there's a number in the top corner of my screen. So do say hello. Be. There she is. We were a minute late because we didn't get our
It's her
mic.
fault.
It's your
Her
fault.
fault.
Yeah, it's your fault. Your fault.
Casa, your fault.
Your
Your
fault.
fault. Yep. Oh, it is rather. It is. Chrissy's just said, "Hello, everyone. How are you on this Friday? Shouldn't moan, but it's a bit too hot." Yes, it's
Mm.
red hot.
Oh,
It is
hello.
red
I've had
hot.
a message. I'll have to have a look.
A
I
massage.
will have a nosy shortly. But yes, it is what is that old saying? Those that of a certain age only will recognise when I say it. It is Scorcho!
Yes, Scorchio.
Oh,
Yes,
isn't it just? Isn't it just? But
it
yes,
is.
we are
It is.
back. It is Friday. It is the two Revs. It's Spiritline. We are. Oh, hello. Won't manage the countdown. Do not be late, young man. We were. Oh well. Whoops. But yes, we're back after a brief sabbatical. Not as long as the last time, but it is, of course, really, really warm. I am a fair-haired, fair-skinned lobster maker in this weather. I do melt when it goes anywhere above 5 degrees. So we are allowed to have a little bit of a moan about it. Oh, and Kai, bless your heart, my lovely, still having trouble with the internet. There's been a lot of IT issues today.
Mm-hmm.
So be glad that you haven't got a Windows update as well, dear. If that is indeed what caused it, we will find out once everything's
Yeah,
back up and running. But I have heard a
I'm a
good
little
reason.
concerned because my computer's got the little orange dot in the bottom saying you need an update, and I'm not touching it.
Yeah, give it a couple of days. Give it a couple of days.
Yeah.
Because credit where credit's due, when there is a problem, they're very, very quick at sending out a fix. Very,
Yes,
very quick at sending out
they
a
are.
fix.
They are.
So we shall see what we shall see. But Tony, what have you been doing with yourself, darling?
Oh gosh, this week has been a bit of another full-on week for lots of reasons that I won't go into in this public forum. But on Wednesday we were in Hull seeing our friend graduate from Hull Uni in artificial intelligence and data something or other.
Wow.
I
Excellent
know.
stuff.
I know. It was wonderful as well. It was a wonderful ceremony.
Yeah.
That's because I've been.
Force of habit there, love.
That's because I was talking this morning to 3 candidates who want to join the ministry, which was the other thing
Wonderful.
I've been doing today. Lots of stuff. Lots of. I will say service this week because there've been lots of people reaching out in need of spiritual upliftment, as we were talking about before we went live. It's just been a bit full on, and yes. So how about you? What's your week look like?
Development workshops, talking, writing, speaking into a microphone so that it'd write for me because I'm a lazy cow. Look, I when I get going with my fingers, they move like lightning and like the wind, and I can sit and I can write no end. Your comment just did come up. Maybe you weren't pressing the button because you're up now, mother. So there we go. Don't panic. But yeah, but it's very, very rare when the fingers are doing the walking. God, I'm quoting old adverts and programs a lot today.
You are. You are. Yes.
But most of the time, I'm just a lazy old what's it. So I've started using this and speaking into the computer, and it writes it out for me. So I can sit and do what I do best and talk the hind legs. Maybe I've put so much pressure. Maybe I've put so much pressure on the system. Maybe I caused the IT breakdown by talking too much to my computer. Who knows?
It's your fault the aeroplanes can't land.
Yeah, quite likely. So yes, I've been working very, very hard. And the focus this week has very much been about centered around levels of consciousness, trance, and going deeper. Hence today's title, because we've started giving it a title. So that's why today's title is called "Breathe and Go Deeper." Oh, you thought it was something else, did you, darling? I think I ought to shut the bedroom door. So yes, it's called Breathe and Go Deeper. Because it's about taking stock, taking a moment, and then plunging into the depths of the psyche and the spirit world. And so it's been very much about levels of consciousness this week. And of course, the new project is still ongoing. A couple of glitches here and there, but it's usually been out before lunchtime. Which is, of course, the wake-up call. That's the only thing I can think of calling it at the moment. And of course, it does, as Chrissy has said, help with people starting their days. In terms of no SPTV until August, because it has been boring without. I mean, you think it's bad with what you guys watch at home. It's such fun. You know, all the people you get to meet and talk to. So I have missed the Start Your Week show with my lovely Karen. But we will be back in August, all things being equal and all things being well. And bless him, Richard, he deserves a break because he hasn't had this amount of time off in the whole time it's been running.
Yeah.
And with moving house and having no internet, he's got a lot to get through. So Richard's having a very well-deserved rest. And we will be back bigger, bolder, and better than ever. And it's going to be massive, I'm sure. Bit of rebrand and refresh as well. So because we do like a rebrand, don't we, Tony?
We do.
So yes, we've had a. I have to admit, I was a little bit worried about. I was a little bit worried about the video today because, of course, I'm crossing over into the spiritual world, and not everybody's probably going to be too keen with 80s style spandex. Jumping around in front of Elton John, but you know what, I quite enjoyed it, and there's something there for everyone. And it was a bit fun. If you thought that was bad though, just because I recorded tomorrow's, I asked them for tomorrow's song just before we came on, and I know the video rather well, and it's all recorded and set up now, and it's a little bit naughty. But it's appropriate for the day. It's appropriate for the day, and it's actually quite a wonderfully uplifting song as well. But that's all I'm going to say. It's going to be secret.
Okay.
But it should be set up to come on at 6 o'clock in the morning, so that it's there for everyone to wake up to. All things being well. So yes, that's been what I've been up to for the last few days. So shall we say hello to who's about and get through the list, make sure we don't miss anyone.
You just see psychic, because I've just scrolled to the bottom of the list.
Absolutely. So we'll miss us out and say bonjour la française, mademoiselle Baudemont-Barnes, Bienvenue. Hello, Sherry Ann. Nice to see you, darling. Hope you're feeling a bit better.
And then, of course, we've got Kaza, who's here. But we were late because Kaza didn't count us in.
She didn't. But in fairness, she did send me a reprimand for making sure that I don't be late. So
yeah, but we were.
But we were.
But
So it'll be me getting a reprimand on Monday. Hello, of course, to the lovely Chrissy Wheatley. Good to see you.
And Lisa, hello there, darling.
And of course, the wonderfully delectable Kai Barnes with her dodgy internet. I hope you heard what I've just said.
Yes, and then we've got Jen Stevenson. Good afternoon, my dear.
Hey, Puddin. Good to see you. And I better say hello to Mama B in the house with everyone else. Good.
Yeah.
Turn your phone the other way round, dear. That's why you probably lost the comments. Because everyone else can see you're commenting.
We can. I think then we've got Carol. Young chaps. Jean. Yes.
How very day.
Yeah. No, I was looking at the one below. Carol Phillips said, "Good afternoon, young chaps," which was like, young. Yes, Jean, it was lovely to see
that one.
Yeah. Just above Chrissy Wheatley, no SPTV until August. Between Chrissy and
I can't
Jean.
see that.
Can't you?
No, Carol's gone a wandering.
Oh, I can see you, Carol. Don't worry, darling. I'll keep you. It's there. What? Carol says at the bottom of our comments on screen, Carol says, love waking up with you in the morning, Nick.
Now I understand, because I'm using the chat on the side rather than the overlay.
Okay. Yeah.
Because the overlay is in the this. I'll tell everyone at home. This does get a bit confusing because the overlay goes in reverse order to the comments that come down in the main control box. So we do confuse each other sometimes, but it's very, very easy when I'm involved. So that explains that. Hi, Jean.
Hello, darling. It was lovely to see you this morning. And Sheila. I've not seen Sheila in such a long time.
Beautiful. Look forward to saying hello myself. There's Carol. Good morning, Carol. See, I've got that comment.
Yeah.
There we go. Anyone? And of course, the lovely Crystal Elizabeth. Hello, darling. We have caught up and I've not made too much of a hash up of it. Yeah. But yes, so we are here. Welcome, everyone. If you haven't said hello, why the devil not? Do come along. I love her.
Yeah, I am, because Nick can see it's there. Look, it's there.
I wondered because I thought there'd be they had an argument last night. This is Tony and Eunice. They had an argument about the builder being round and that one of them might have to be talking to it. So they're arguing over who gets to watch. It seems that the builders have been dealt with, and they both do. So welcome along to you two as well, and hello to everyone else. It is, of course, your show. You lead the debate, you lead the conversation. We have our own ideas, and I'm sure we will have a few views here, there, and everywhere. You see the fun coming in now, you know.
Yeah. I want to pick up your mum's comment about can't wait to see you Thursday, Tony.
Absolutely. Because of course on Thursday Reverend Tony and Reverend Jean will be at Littleport Village Hall from 7:40 all the way through till 9. I've got a funny feeling there'll be some kind of breakfasty event going on in the morning after the night before, if everyone's about and still available.
We are traveling. We're traveling there and back, I'm afraid.
Oh, so you're not going to?
Oh, no, we've got an event on Friday, so we've got to be home, unfortunately.
Well, we'll have a little bit of a buffet on the night then.
Okay. Yes, and Anne-Marie, fabulous. Healing does work because I was sending you healing in spade loads, my darling.
Hey, bless you.
Hello.
Hello, Anne Marie. Oh, that's a shame, but yes, it looks like Mum's going for breakfast anyway because she's just found out that the place where we normally go does gluten-free breakfasts.
Oh,
And see, Mum's
fabulous.
gluten-free now, as is a few other people. So they do gluten-free. So next time you're down, we'll go for free. But yes, we are
Yes.
so excited because Reverend Tony and Reverend Jean are the mediums on Thursday night at Littleport. You can just hear her saying it, can't you?
Yeah.
She writes as Scottish as she is. It is beautiful. You haven't got a choice. Friday is cancelled as of now. No, afraid not. It's not that easy.
Unfortunately, it can't be. But yes.
But we are very much looking forward to welcoming you both back. And of course, will Michael be travelling with you?
He will. He will. Yes.
Excellent. Yeah. So I will give him his grilling when he gets here as well. Because, obviously there's discussions going on there. Oh.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Anne-Marie, I'm so sorry, darling. I'm so sorry.
Bless you.
Sending you all our love, and we will be thinking about you on Wednesday.
Absolutely. Absolutely, yes. We will send out our thoughts on Wednesday on the day as well. But of course, we will be thinking of you every time we send out our thoughts, including, of course, tonight on the Silent Minute. If everyone wants to join in, that'll be the first name on the list.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Looks like you are still going for breakfast because Eunice has just said we're still going. So have a sausage for me, dear.
Always, darling. Always. Be careful considering the name of the show today.
Yes.
It wasn't until I hit post that I realised my error, but it is the two Revs, and that's our time. So yeah, it's going to be great seeing you both down again, all of you down again, and it's sure to be a great night. We always look forward to our annual Tony and Jean Fest.
Absolutely. It's
so
amazing.
There's Daniel. Hello, Daniel. Welcome along as well. Welcome along. So, what is it that you would like to discuss, my friends? Any burning questions, any thoughts? Obviously, the theme of the week has been about trance and been about going deeper into that connection of spirit. That is what the title is about.
Yes. Yes, of course it is.
So, what is... Because I don't think we've actually ever between the two of us discussed it. So to get the ball rolling, what is your experience of deeper levels of connection and trance mediumship? Have you ever dabbled? Have you ever made use of?
I haven't consciously done trance mediumship. However, Michael has had some intriguing conversations with people during the night when I start talking and he realizes it's not me speaking to him. So I've not done it myself, but what I found with working platform now, I used to walk a lot, move up and down, and a lovely lady who unfortunately passed to spirit last week, from Worksop SNU Church, said, look, my only critique of your demonstration tonight was you connected your energy in that spot and then you walk out of it. So stand in the energy and just work with it. And I found since I do that, it's as if my brain goes blank and just stuff comes out of my mouth.
Yeah.
So that is a deeper connection for me because it's as if I don't have to do any interpreting of what spirit is saying to me now. It's just flowing. Yeah. But yeah, it is. I find that way you get a more, I don't want to say a more meaningful connection, but you get that spiritually deeper connection with spirit. And I find also as well, I've had less. I'll probably say this on next Thursday when I'm there. I've seemed to have lost some of the clairvoyance side of my mediumship, and I feel their personality, their energy building within me, and I feel the nature of the person that I'm connecting with, and it's wonderful, absolutely wonderful to feel that connection to that spirit person. That it's as if they actually step inside of me to work, and it's wonderful. Yes, I've been sending my thoughts out to Jay Slater's parents and everybody. It's all. I know I'm changing the topic again, Nick, but the thing for me is at least now the family know where he is, and they have that, they can start that healing process.
Yes.
But back to what we were talking about, that's my experience of it, and it's something that I think comes with time.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. It's not something you can think, oh, I want to do that. It's something you've got to work at and build that connection. And again, it's something I've always said about spirit. It's the learning to trust spirit, allowing them that control and that. So I've no doubt my next few steps will be leading me towards transmediumship, but it's taken me a bit of a circuitous route to get there.
I think that is usually the way. And just slightly changing the subject for a second. Hello, Samantha. Good to see you, darling. Hope everything went well yesterday, by the way. And I second what you said about the family of Jay. Now, all of the rubbish and vitriol and childishness can be swept away, and the family can start to live and heal and work on their lives, and hopefully in peace. And people who don't allow that need to grow up. And that's all I'll say on the matter. But when it comes to trance, absolutely, I agree with you. It is not something that is to be trifled with, and it's not something that comes easily or quickly. It is something that is worked on and developed as you work on and develop yourself, as your connection in normal mental mediumship gets deeper and deeper and deeper. The option comes available, which kind of ties in with what one of our first questions is: can you ask the spirits to do trance, or do they decide if they are going to do it with you? For me, it's a bit of both. They will have to decide whether they think you are ready, they think that you are able to shut off the physical. Because the more deeper you go, and certainly when it comes to trance levels, you are completely disconnecting your connection with the physical. You are off wandering with the fairies, haven't got a clue what's going on. And so you're absolutely right, Tony. Trust is immeasurably a part of that process, but you also have to be willing and invite it. No spirit can enter your body unless they are given permission. And when I say enter your body, I mean make use of it while you've given them permission to, and are busy doing other things, because you don't go anywhere. They don't shut you down. You're not, trapped in, locked in a prison, or all these scary movie stuff that you hear about. I always remember when I first started developing, the first thing that I was ever taught is any medium worth their salt will never be taken over unless they allow it. Sleep state's a bit different because you're very trusting of your people and you allow them in and you allow that closeness. But when it comes to a full-on trance, I've sat down, I'm closing my eyes. I'm being taken over. No, that, and certainly if they were going to do that, you wouldn't be screaming, "They're taking me over," because you'd have lost the battle. But the point is, you have to allow it, and they have to allow you. So it's a mutual trust decision. What I will say from my perspective, from my point of view, it's not for everyone because of that scare factor. But the point is, there is nothing to be scared of because you will always be able to take back charge of that situation, can't you?
Yeah,
It's
as I
about
understand it, yeah.
yeah, it's about learning to be in control. It's about learning to be in control of the physical, because you have to put pretty much everything to sleep, so that they can then, slip in. It's like you're taking your hand out of a glove, still your glove, but they can slip the fingers in with your fingers and start puppetizing your finger, and it's usually to do with the tongue and the larynx and the throat and everything. So it is about a duality of trust and a duality of control for me. See, we've been talking about it a lot. Is that where we went to on Monday and Thursday? Trance isn't a point A to point B. It's a spectrum. At one end of the spectrum, you've got super duper, I'm awake, blah, 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 blah. At the other end, it's like, bye, and someone else can make use. Where what we were dealing with is somewhere in the middle, so it's a blend of the two. It gives you an idea of whether it's something that you'd be interested in. It gives you an idea as to whether it's something you'd be comfortable with, but also that kind of midway along the spectrum of trance. As Tony pointed out right from the get-go, strengthens and deepens your mental mediumship, and it's that allowing them to step in and express upon you how they feel. When I came up to Jean's and you saw me walk, how much was they just making use of me like a blooming puppet and bending over and flapping me arms about and standing in funny positions. And I've noticed that the hall that Jean uses has got a big hole on the left-hand side, because every time I stood over there, I felt like I was about a foot shorter.
You did, yeah.
And it really does help with your mental mediumship if you can manage that balance, as Tony has expressed and explained with his development and growth. So yeah, there is a great deal of use, but I would say somewhere in neither alert, neither in trance, but somewhere in between.
I would say that if you're connecting with spirit, you will get a slight overshadowing of spirit, because that's how it works. You're connected with them, and there will be that little bit of influence that they give you. But as that trust develops, that connection gets a lot stronger, and they can, I want to say manipulate, but not in a sly, devious way, manipulate you into standing in a certain position because that's how they would have stood. Like Nick, there were times when he was demonstrating at Jean's church the other Sunday that I didn't recognise him because he was acting completely out of character.
Sane and well behaved at one point, I think.
I need to catch up on a couple of comments because there were a few that
I'm actually going through and starring a few as we speak. Oh, bless you, Cherry Ann. I just leave the room while my trance guard speaks through me. And yes, I'm helping. Some of Cherry's work has been absolutely mind-boggling. It's brilliant all the time, but there was an incident last year when her guide turned around and said something along the lines of, and I am paraphrasing, "We are aware that there was once a time when people gathered in common cause to send their thoughts for healing and peace. We suggest this continues again." And when we researched into it, that day, but 80 years before, Wellesley Tudor Pole started the Silent Minute on Radio BBC Radio in the UK to the sound of Big Ben, and it was the anniversary of it starting. So that's why we started the Silent Minute. That was just some stunning information, and just one of those wow, pick me ass up off the floor and give me a good shake moments when Cherry's working in trance. She's come along such a long way. Let me just star a couple more. But yeah, it is like you leave the room and someone else, and it is what you said, it's that puppet moment. It is that puppet moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. I wanna, because I have. It was on SPTV once. You do know it's happening. You just don't give a what's it. The way I describe it is, it's like you're in another room enjoying yourself, and in the distance you can hear a voice that's quite familiar because it's yours, but you just don't care what's being said, and you haven't got a clue what's being said because you're busy over here enjoying yourself, and someone's making use of. I'll be honest with you, I don't like the phrase takeover because of all of the negative connotations people will use for it. But they do make you, as you said, puppetry of the soul, and they do make use of you. Can you see the pinned ones, Tony? Just what? Because I'm going along here. Oh, you don't have the option to view pinning. That's ridiculous.
No,
we'll have to deal with that. Bom 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 bom. Bom 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 bom. Right, I am. Bless you. I'll be honest with you. I stole that from Lynn. Don't give a what's it. Everything was a what's it. That was her substitute for naughty words.
Yes.
So I stole that from it. Right. Okay. So we've done that one. Family can speak through trance. I'm sure Tony will remember, because we've discussed this incident an awful lot. The Golden Chain recitations were all done in trance. That's Emma Hardinge Britain's trance communications. There were a number of relatives of those gathered sitting that were coming through at the time of giving out the 10 spiritual commandments. So yes, is my understanding of that. I've only ever done as far as my guides, I will be honest. But I have seen and witnessed and heard of evidence coming through family members within a trancing. Have you ever actually seen that yourself, Tony?
Yes. Yeah. I've seen somebody who recognized their, can't remember if it's father or grandfather, but the facial features changed and shifted on this particular medium, and this chap just said straight away, "Oh my lord, that's my dad or granddad, I can't remember which." But and there was a message came through that with phraseology that the spirit person would have used, which is more evidence. But yeah, it was good. It was good.
Absolutely. Now, Anne-Marie says, I have been told that a full trance medium who allows themselves to be taken over must have another medium or trusted person with them to help bring them out if needed. Yes. In no uncertain terms, that is, I wouldn't say from my experiences essential, but it certainly is wisdom, and very, very, very big wisdom from my view. When I did a public demonstration of trance, I had 4 people trusted who were there sending out their positive vibes and protections, and were there. I mean, I've never got. And when my guide's done, that's it. I'm back.
Yeah.
So, okay, you're done. Get your ass back in the chair. And so long as you are cautious and careful, you will always be okay. But there is wisdom in having people around to support you, because if you've got no one there, no one's going to hear what's being said anyway. but someone trusted close by to help you out in terms of the physical. Absolutely, I agree. There is absolute wisdom in that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Every person I've seen working in trance, and every trance medium I know, has somebody they take with them to demonstrations and things, just to be there for an anchor, just in case.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a quick hello. She got here. It's hello, Sarah. Hello, Sarah. Yeah, and I knew you would. I would say essential. For me, it depends on the situation. Say, for example, it's a very right. I've got to say something about trance circles, and this is why I say it depends on the situation. When you're sitting in a trance circle, I honestly can't see the point in there being too many people in it. The energy that is required to do it comes from spirit, not the physical. So that's that out of the window. And unless you're interested in watching somebody else work for your whole trance development career, you're not really going to do too much, because it would be too much for everyone to do trance all at once, or even take it in turns. So I would never suggest that there be more than 2 or 3 people in a trance circle. And if you're going to be in that environment, they're going to be trusted anyway. So it kind of proves and disproves at the same time, because they're going to be people that you feel comfortable and safe with anyway. In terms of a public demonstration, it's not only essential, I think it's a must. Because you don't know who's about, you don't know who's in that room sending negative thoughts in your direction. So in a public demonstration, minimum requirement, definitely. At all other times, I still think it's common sense, but you can be a little bit less over the top, shall we say, in terms of standard protections will be plentiful. And yeah, this is yeah, because we've just kind of like agreed with each other on there. A trance circle is different to someone trying to do it on their own. Yeah, I would never recommend doing it on your own. It's pointless. It is absolutely pointless. The idea of any form of mediumship, correct me if I'm wrong, is to prove survival.
Yeah, and who are you proving it to?
Gonna say who's and this whole idea of, oh well, I'll sit and record it, or I'll no. So there's always going to be a minimum of 2 people in the room anyway, and if you're doing that with someone that you don't trust, sorry, need your head looking at. So, in this day and age, when you're exposing yourself to not being aware of what's going on in the room, you've got to consider that as a physical part as well as a spiritual part. But you know what? You're right, Eunice. I agree with you. There are some who may well try and just do it on their own. But what is the point? Yeah. And actually, looking down in the comments, Sarah has just mentioned that as well. I see a few mediums who sit on their own and record it. I don't see the point, because part of trance is the interaction and the questioning.
Yeah,
you might as well just do a bit of philosophy. I will be honest, I did it once, but it was a total waste of time. The interaction between someone on the physical realm asking questions of spirit is the point of trance, as far as I am concerned. I know that there will be people who disagree with me. That's absolutely fine.
No, I know.
When it comes that connection with spirit, it is about the connection. It's about the sitter's interaction with the medium. I see the point, but from my perspective, you might as well just go into a semi-deep state and do some philosophy.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, Tony?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a time and place, but I would say if you have a small circle and you are record that and put it out. If you're doing it for views and likes, I don't get it.
I was being polite, but you know what? Yeah, I agree.
Sorry. I'm going to have to just disconnect for 2 seconds and just pop in. Michael's not got house keys. So
Oh dear. Whoa, no worries.
2 seconds.
I will keep an eye out for you, darling. Yeah, I mean, there is some usefulness to that, Sarah, and I would never say. Yes, I am vaping, by the way. Yeah, I would never say don't do it, forbidden, but I just, in all honesty, I don't see the point. One of the things that we do as mediumship and within mediumship, which I think is absolutely core to the difference between us and more established ways of life, shall we put it like that? As far as take care, Jen. Be good. Yeah, I'm not on fire. When it comes to, dealing with, I'll just pop that back on. When it comes to dealing with mediumship, the most important thing is about proof. And proof when you are being lectured to, which is basically what that would be, really doesn't prove anything, but the interaction and the responses that you can have by having someone say, okay, thank you for coming through. May I ask you this? Well, of course, yes, and blah. Otherwise, where is the proof in someone just sit? Because I could easily just sit here and say, okay, none of you have seen me for the last 10 minutes. Press record. Okay, now, my friends, I am speaking to you on behalf of Spirit, and this is a trance, and I can tell you whatever I want to tell you, but the interaction from someone else is where the proof lies. I love trance. I love all things in our way of life. But for me personally, if it's not providing some kind of evidential connection, and in trance, it's mostly about the interaction and the response thereof. I mean, Silver Birch, that was a question and answer session. White Eagle, question and answer session. Cherry, question and answer session. We are supposed to test the spirits. And for me, if it doesn't prove, then why? You can bring proof and guidance at the same time, and that guidance becomes more pertinent because it's about the questions being asked, and that it will be appropriate to everyone listening in one way or another, because that's how they do philosophy. But if it's just you and you're saying stuff, bringing information to the collective, great, but you can do that with a lower level. I'm going to sit for 5 minutes and connect with my guides and do a very, very deep level philosophy and address. And so for me, if people want to do it that way, that's their choice and that's fine. But for me, it's about proof of survival, whether it's trance, whether it's mediumship, whether it's healing to an extent. Proof of survival is core. And only by having that interaction from somebody else asking the questions are you testing the spirits. And so for me personally, all credit to people who want to do the work, and I'm not knocking that. But for me, it helps people more if there is some level of proof within it, as far as I'm concerned. But I'm sure, Sarah, we will have plenty of speakings about that in the not too distant future in other conversations, because it might well come up on Thursday. Hope Michael's all in and sorted now.
He is, yes, thank you. I have to agree, because my take on it would be, if I set up my laptop and just press record and then just started giving messages one after the other, and then pressed stop and posted it, I don't understand. It's about, even when I do readings live and you work on the comments that you get back, it's the response that prompts the next question, the next message, the next, you know, bit of information. Like I said, all power to anybody who wants to do that. That's fine. I ain't judging, but I agree with Nick. It's the proof of survival that is key to working with spirit. If not, it's just a nice conversation. Because if I've had instances when I've been sitting for somebody and they have asked specific questions of spirit about, I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with that, is there any advice? Well, if you're just saying whatever spirit are giving you and there's no response, no feedback coming back, I don't understand what the outcome of that is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And to be fair, it actually ties in with what Anne-Marie has asked as well.
Yes. I have mixed views on that. Because I don't need a voice to connect with spirit. It's helpful.
Yeah.
Because sometimes if you're not quite sure if you're with a person or not, it helps. You hear the voice and you feel that connection. But I can do the same thing on when I'm reading and there's just comments if I'm doing a Facebook Live or something.
Yeah.
I can see somebody's name appear on a screen. There might be 5 people say yes, but as I look down, like on my screen at the minute, it says Anne-Marie Corver, Sherry Ann Bodman, Jen Stevenson, and then Carol Phillips. I could look down that list and Jen's name would jump out at me. And I think, it's for Jen. So you start working with that energy. So the reason I would say that they say in church, please give the medium your voice, is if you're sat at the back of the church and somebody's just nodding, there's no, you can't see that.
Yeah, it's nosiness, isn't it?
It
is purely for nosiness. And there's 2 reasons, one practical and one spiritual, why I agree with you wholeheartedly. But also, you know, we'll probably get myself in big trouble. I'm being a bit irate today. I don't know why, but I'm done with being over polite and hiding what I believe for the benefit of a quiet time. You know, everyone's got their right to their voice, so I should have a voice too. Absolutely. And so when it comes to, certainly in the churches, it was always about us in the congregation being nosy and wanting to get that clarification that the evidence that is being provided is correct. It's got nothing to do with the medium needing the voice. Practical terms, if someone's in a church and is mute, does that mean they're not allowed a message? If they've got no voice, if they've lost your voice for months, literally months. Does that mean that you were not entitled to a message? And spirit would say, oh, well, as he's got no voice, the medium's not going to be able to give him a message, so stuff him. No.
Exactly.
And the other thing on a spiritual level is the development that Gordon Higginson went through when he was a kid. He would be sat in the corner, facing away from the door. He would be tied to the chair, he'd be blindfolded, his ears covered, and then somebody would be brought in. He would then give out all the information, and the person sitting with him, again, someone sitting with, testing the spirits, would make a note of whether it was yes or no as it went along, but he'd get no feedback whatsoever. And he had to work with no verbal confirmation at all. And when he started, it was 50-50. A year later, it was 100% yeses all the way through. But he only knew that after he'd been unblindfolded.
We did a similar exercise once. You form in a development group, you form an inner circle and then an outer circle, chairs back to back. The inner circle, they move around, the outer circle, sorry, move around and sit down randomly. And then you read for the person immediately behind you with absolutely no way of, and the tutor would say yes or no.
Yeah.
So that shows you don't need the voice, but it's helpful because you can feel that connection, that click, when you know it's absolutely right. But, and the other thing is, sometimes, just from a skeptic's point of view, let me just put this out there. If somebody says, yes, you know by that tone, well, I think it's a yes, but I'm not sure. So then a medium could come back with, oh, hang on, no, I've got that wrong. It's, you know, so it takes that out of the equation as well. There's not that intonation of a voice that says, oh, they're not sure about that. You know, that's why I always say, just say yes, no, I don't know. That's all I want a recipient to do. But it's, Anne-Marie, there's nothing wrong with asking lots of questions because you want to understand. We love
Quite
it.
right too.
What's my saying? Absolutely. What's my saying, Nick?
There's no silly questions, only the one that you didn't ask. Absolutely, I totally agree. And so, Anne-Marie and Sarah, I hope that answers your questions. Like I said, in terms of the trance thing sitting on your own, I'm not knocking it, and if that's the way the person want to work, that's fine. But personally, for me, in order to move this way of life forward, there must be some form of proof and interaction and questions. There you go, questions always help prove it. And I'm always very cautious about, things being hidden. If I were to ever do that, you would have 20 minutes of me sitting dribbling. Because I wouldn't edit it. You would see me going in, going down, going down, going down. But I wouldn't do it because I'd want that interaction of someone else present to help prove, because I could easily sit and have planned what I've already going to say. And that's, I'm not saying people will do that. What I'm saying is people will accuse us of doing that. And so therefore, if we can try and think in terms of how will people detract us, how will people have a pop at us, right, let's think of something.
How can we eliminate that?
How can we eliminate that? Exactly.
Well, let's just take for example, and I'm not going to name names, but everybody's going to know who I'm talking about. There was a famous TV program where they fed somebody some information about a person that allegedly lived in a building that they didn't, and that person came through.
Yeah.
And that, no, I'm not up for that. I mean, so we want to take away any opportunity people have of saying, oh, you researched that beforehand, or you planned that beforehand, or, because if I did a pre-recorded Facebook Live, I could look at and think, oh, well, I know Anne-Marie would watch, and I know so-and-so would watch, and I know so-and-so would watch. Go on their Facebook, go on their Instagram, go on there, and, just do this. Oh, I've got this gentleman, and Anne-Marie or whoever will be watching it going, oh, God, yeah, that's right. Now, what's that proven?
Nothing.
So it's evidence for me. And any way we can of locking down what we do, for me, is essential, because we have enough crap to deal with from people who have been accused of fakery and being a charlatan and this, that, and the other over the years, that people who work true with spirit deserve that chance to show that they work true with spirit.
Yeah.
And so I'm on a rant as well today. That's a bit.
Yeah. And
Let's get off our
for any
soapboxes.
yeah, and for anyone who thinks that philosophy doesn't come evidentially, it really does. I mean, that's why what we do on a Thursday night between the philosophy and the reading, swapping it round. So the philosophy comes and then the reading comes. The reading's already been picked. The medium should not know about it, and certainly Eunice never will let me know. And sometimes it's been a bit, oh, I don't know. And then sometimes it's been quoting left, right, and centre because spirit know what's going to be said. And so long as I'm not on a soapbox and having a bit of a moan, it's usually quite tied in, because spirit will make sure that that philosophy has some bearing with evidential mediumship in terms of proving that spirit are the ones responsible. And if we can make sure that we are not open to these criticisms, this is the only reason I would critique in the way I did earlier. Not because I think that person is wrong, but because I want them to be comfortable and safe in the work that they're doing and not being criticized. And if I can say something and be seen as a grumpy git, but if I can say something that will help prevent them going through a really nasty accusation of, oh, well, yeah, then I'm going to do it, because my job is to help people, not blow smoke up the backsides and let them run away and get into trouble. I would never leave anyone in my care of development on their own, without protections and without a knowledge that will protect them from those accusations. And they will come. And sometimes in situations that I've seen, certainly on certain platforms, there is a lot of fakery going on. They make us look bad. But if we can make ourselves beyond a reproach to the best of our ability, then we will always be doing the best we can for this way of life. And
point.
for those that we are helping and those that we are serving, which is, of course, spirit. And if we can make sure that everything we do has some tangible way of being proven, like, for instance, somebody asks a question. I once asked someone in trance a question, and it was a very loose question, and it was a very private matter. And it was a very general question in terms of how it was asked, in the tone that I used. But I was thinking about something very deep and personal that only me and one other person on the planet knew about. And so I asked the question, and the response came in an initially a very generic form, in these situations, blah and blah, and with this and blah. But of course, Nick, the reason you have asked that question is because of your concern for X and Y. And let us assure you that we are watching over that individual, and they named that individual. We are watching over that individual, and we can promise you that we will try our best to steer them in the right direction. Evidence through trance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Provable to me.
Yeah.
And so for me, that there's always got to be some kind of tangible proof function within what we do. Otherwise, what's the point of expending all that time and effort to go that far and work that hard? Because it's fun, it's uplifting, it's energizing, but it takes a lot of concentration and a lot of focus.
It does.
So why do it unless it's going to have some tangible meaning? That's just my opinion anyway.
A good 3/4 of an hour before I get up on a rostrum, I'll be the same driving down to Littleport next Thursday. My legs will be shaking, I'll be sweating, I'll be like, oh my Lord, am I going to do all right? What's the energy going to be like? Is it going to be okay? So I wouldn't put myself through that if I didn't think I was doing something useful and valuable for people. The other thing about evidence for me is I did a demonstration last week at a local church, actually did a tie-dye special, which was really good fun. And our friend's son, who's just turned 18, came with Michael. And driving back in the car, he said, have to say, there was some stuff in there that was quite generalised, but you couldn't have guessed half of that. But no. So that was nice that that young man now has his mind opened a little bit. Have we got any more starred comments you want to pick up? Otherwise, I would like to go to Anne-Marie about careful what you say in churches and centres.
Let's go to that one. Where are we?
16:54 and 57 seconds.
There we go. I know
I don't know the answer
from churches or centres. Yeah. The answer is they will say what they want.
I thought so. But and as for careful what you say in churches and centres, can I just again? I'm feeling a bit about this because you don't drop an F-bomb or a C-bomb in a church, but if I was there on Thursday night, Nick, and you said to me, I've got this little sweet old lady and she's lovely, she's warm, she's bubbly, she's this, she's that, I wouldn't have a clue what you're talking about. Because my grandmother and my aunt, both of whom I would be thinking that's who this is about, weren't like that.
Yeah.
They would call a spade and they would give you it both barrels straight between the eyes and no holding back. They wouldn't swear or curse, but if I was to say off rostrum what they would say to me, or if a medium was to say off rostrum what they would say to me, in a lot of larger organizations, churches, the medium would be pulled off rostrum.
Yeah. Because
they would come straight out and say, Anthony, what the bloody hell are you playing at? Get your ass into gear now and da-da-da-da-da. You know? And that's evidence to me. If you were to say, oh, she's advising you that you know, you need to just push yourself a little bit and you need to do this and you need, I think, well, who is it? Because I haven't got a clue.
Yeah.
So it's that fine line between bringing the evidence and bringing that person and doing justice to the person you're working with in spirit and ensuring that the recipient understands and recognizes that person.
Yes, I agree.
Without crossing a line,
and there are ways, aren't there? I mean, I'm always walking a tightrope when I work because I do let them get away with a little bit more than I probably should. But certainly that's the Littleport influence on me, because if they were to say, come on, Tony, pull your bloody socks up, you silly what's it, everyone in Littleport would be in hysterics and be loving every minute of it because it's real. But there are ways. I mean, I did once have someone who was literally every other word was an expletive that I will not mention, but it was in relation to what police officers would describe as Foxtrot Oscar.
Yes.
But I've just given you that information without actually saying it. You know, I've implied it. He's telling them they should go away. Well, he didn't quite say that. He said it's slightly blunter than that, but you know what I mean, don't you, darling? And you can let people know. But even some would be, oh, you can't be like that, Spiritline. Yes, they are like that. They haven't changed.
You know, Auntie Jean.
Jean.
She was pulled up for talking about kinky boots. She was pulled on rostrum because she said, those boots above the thighs, you know, the kinky boots. Oh, Jean, I'm sorry, you can't say that. But they are the long boots that come above your thighs, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my goodness. I have to say, when Michael's dad works for me, I've just picked up Anne-Marie's comment out of my corner of my eye there about dad comes through, poor media will be swearing non-stop.
Yeah.
Michael's dad, it's a standing joke with him. He pushes and pushes and pushes to the point where you might do this as well, Nick. You've got a bit of a 5-second delay between what you get and what you're speaking.
Yeah.
And he'll push it and push it so that that gap gets shorter and shorter and shorter. And he tries to make me drop a bomb.
Yeah.
And he's never managed it yet, but I can say it. I was going to say that, Kaza. I would say, they could use quite colourful language when they were off on one, So there are ways of getting around it. And I think that's the important thing we as mediums have to do, is to make that person recognisable to the recipient of the message without crossing the line of integrity and without sort of dropping F-bombs and offending people.
Absolutely.
Because I've had people through who had some quite interesting views from certain generations, and there are ways of bringing that across without offending people. Had opinions of his time.
Yes.
It's a good. Yes, it was Linda. It was
Kinky boots, kinky boots, kinky boots.
On a Blackman.
Yeah.
That's it. It was. Yes, Honor Blackman had.
Yes. And I got to say, Sarah, there was a show. There was, yes.
There is, I've seen it.
Right, there is a show. Yes. Yes. Oh, right. I've got to say, because we are coming towards the end of our time together already. Can you believe we've been going over an hour already? It's scary.
Wow.
You've just looked at the clock, haven't you?
It's like, whoa.
But I've got to say, mentioning songs is a risky business at the moment, because they've been mentioned and they've been picked by Spirit. Sometimes I wonder if AI is listening to me when I'm talking and it will give me that song, but I don't do it. I sometimes go downstairs and turn it on the radio to make sure. But if that comes up in the next couple of weeks as the wake up song, you're all to blame, not me. But yeah, that brings it, changing the subject a little. Kaz says, and it's now not changing the subject, ironically, because we're talking about songs. Gave a reading last night from listening to a song. It was something different, but really enjoyed it. Totally out of my comfort zone. Songs are amazing and filled with messages of Spirit.
I have seen specials done around songs, actually. Like the compilation double 4-disc things.
Yeah.
You'll say, pick a disc from 1 to 4, pick a song from 1 to however many songs are on the disc. Play that song, give a reading from it, Kazi. You'll love it. You will love it.
You will. Absolutely. In Circle, I think it was the Monday Circle, we were talking about songs to the extent, and I apologize if I picked the wrong circle. I'm pretty sure it was, though. Several of them are on, so they'll tell me. They actually found an online song generator that would pick random songs to give people messages with, as well as turning on the radio. And we've had such fun with it. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing in the mornings, and it's getting a little bit risque. Which
it will.
It will. But yeah, getting that joy and upliftment from songs is so essential. And you know what? Where was it that Sarah said something a second ago? If that's the case, we're having a staff outing. We are going to Blackpool and watching Kinky Boots the musical.
It's wonderful.
That would be hilarious. That I did not know. But yeah, it's yes. Nancy sang "These Boots Are Made for Walking." Yes,
and that's just what they'll do. Yeah.
There's one of
And
these days, these boots are
boots
gonna
are gonna
walk all over you.
the answer to Anne Marie's question about would you say something in a private sitting, I have done. Yeah. I had a lady who came in and she looked as sweet as pie. Lovely, small lady, quite thin. She came in, she stood next to me talking to her granddaughter, sat opposite me, and it could have been a builder that was talking to me. The air just turned blue around me. It was like, you look like Mrs. Doubtfire. And yet. So, yes, I would. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Once again, I think it's the same with churches as it is in private sittings. You read the room, you kind of see what you can get away with, and if you feel that you can get away with pushing to a little, I still, even in a private sitting, would probably not drop certain words. But when I'm sitting with a group of people that I've gotten to know, I do get very blue. I am a very blue person in private. I get rather rude and double entendre in public, but when it comes to a private sitting, there are still certain words that I would never use. But in private, you kind of get to read the room.
Yes.
I mean, I sat in. I'm going to annoy her now. I'm not going to say who it was, and I'm not going to say the word because this is a public environment. But there was an incident a few weeks back within a circle where somebody was indicating to a member of their family that we were going to work now. So, number one, they should be quiet, but they needed to be somewhere else. And so that they should move along rather swiftly. But that individual did not quite put it like that and used a few naughty words. And all you saw was them doing it like this. They thought they'd muted themselves and they hadn't. And she turned round and it's like, but we all laughed. We had a joke about it. Nobody was offended. It was a good giggle. And, there's a lot worse in the world than a couple of naughty words here and there. Obviously, you deal with what's appropriate in the situation. In a public environment, of course, you're a little bit more editorial about the language. But when you're in a private setting, if your dad come round and said to me, I want to tell him this, or if your nan come round to me and said, I want to tell you this, if your auntie come through and said, I want to tell you this. See, I didn't give it away until she actually comments on it.
No, that was it. I didn't have a clue who you were talking about. Do now.
And he turned round and said, or they turned round and said, tell him to get his... That wouldn't be a sniff in a private reading.
No, that would be a...
Because I know that you would take it in the spirit that it was meant and from who it was from. But platform, of course, you've got certain levels, but you can still let people know. I mean, my sniff is a favourite one. I think I did it a few times when I was up your way.
You did.
I did a few sniffs. I use what's it and I use a sniff.
Yeah.
And then I haven't done a naughty. And I've been in some very, very straight-laced, serious churches, and I've done that and got away with it because you go based on what's in front of you. And if I had a very sweet and innocent granny giving in front of me, giving her a message, if I didn't know her, I'd be a little bit more cautious. I'd say, I did it once. I said, I'm ever so sorry, but I've got to tell you, this gentleman, he ain't half got a good relationship with the naughty words. And her response was, oh, that's definitely, and well, him.
Yeah.
I can get away with a little bit more with you. Yeah. And you read the room. You
do. But yeah. Oh gosh. It's been a while. It feels like we've only been on 10 minutes.
I know. It feels like we've only got Wiltshire, Carol, get it right.
Oh, sorry.
Wiltshire.
Wiltshire.
So said nothing there, Cherry, and got away with it. But that was so funny, I've got to say. To be fair, Cherry's the sweet and innocent one of the group, because there is another individual who had to leave early, who had a very, very fond relationship with her internet and computer when we first started developing. And when she thought that the volume wasn't working because the computer was breaking down and not working, some of the expletives that were coming out were absolutely hilarious, because it was the camera not working, not the microphone. So we had some fun at that level as well.
Bless.
You know, so long as you're not doing it for the sake of doing it, so long as you're having
If
a
it's
laugh and
not,
no one's offended.
yeah, if
Cares?
it's not for shock tactics, then
Yeah.
go for it. But read the room, and yeah. Of course, you'll see me Thursday, Linda. Can't wait. Looking forward to it.
It's gonna be fun. I'm up at a new church at Malton in Spalding this weekend. But there's the silent minute, there's the starting the day off with a song thing going on. Of course, if you are not in the area, you better tune in on Thursday night to Little Port Village Hall, because this lovely young man and a lovely young lady, the lovely Reverend Jean, the
Pearson.
lovely Reverend Jean Pearson. I keep going to call her Parsons. I will get it right before Thursday. The lovely Jean Pearson will be with us, so that will be fun to watch. But if you're within a few miles and can afford to come along, then come and see us all in person, because it's going to be an amazing time. What else are you up to this week, mate?
What have we got on this week? We've got the Rainbow Project. We've got our Time to Be Out session, which is the LGBTQ asylum seeker work we're involved with. We've got all sorts this week. It's another busy one, I think.
Absolutely. And so I'm glad that you can fit us in, and we will be back together again on Thursday with the lovely Jean Pearson. So do stay tuned for that. As for everyone else, have a wonderful weekend. If I'm going to see you between hand in a workshop or a circle, I look forward to it. God bless you all. And I'm going to do something slightly naughty and slightly different. Well done to the government for actually getting off their backsides and committing to a conversion therapy ban, a function and facility that is born out of religious fear and hatred and has no place in modern society. So well done. Get on with it and get it done, please. And on that note, I'll say God bless you all. Thank you all. See you soon. And Tony, pleasure, my friend.